Supposedly I look like Brandon Herrera because I've been growing out my hair.
Yeah, this is our
Dollar General
Ginger
Brandon Herrera. And not Nick the Reaper, but Nick the Wookiee Irvine.
Yeah, this is, we got this one from Dollar Tree. It's why the proportions are all up. And does that make me Pudgy, not Lucas from T-Rex Arms? Is that how this is going to work? I don't know.
No, you're just Grandpa.
Oh, Grandpa. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to Tactical Review. So if you're involved in any of the firearms communities on social media, first I'd like to apologize. They can all get a little toxic, but that's not what we're talking about. You have probably, like me, seen the name Swampfox Optics posted around, questions being asked about it, maybe some comments about the quality of their optics or their customer support. And like me, you've been left with some questions. Let's face it, the optic that you put on your firearm is kind of an important decision. It's the lens through which you acquire targets and make hits, and honestly, it can be a really expensive investment comparative to the rifle or the pistol you're putting it on. So anyway, to explain why I've got a couple other guys in shot with me, my friend Cody the other day reached out to me and said, hey, I just got a new Swampfox Tomahawk 1-to-8 power, low power variable optic. And I told him, man, I've seen a lot of stuff about them. I've been curious, and well, my friend Perrin here says, hey, I've got a 1-to-8 power. I'd kind of like to see how it compares. Now, I don't have a 1-to-8, but we've talked before. I've got this 1-to-6 power Vortex Strike Eagle, and I thought it'd be a really good video if we kind of compared the three. And so to that end, we're sitting here to kind of do a little bit of Q&A, comparison between, and kind of the main focus, sort of, in my book, is the Swampfox. I won't say they're the newest player. Somewhere here on screen, I'll give you some stats about them. I've only just recently been hearing anything about them, but I'm sure that they're not that recent on the scene. And as we talk about these three low-power variable optics, which are absolutely not the only names in the game, I'll probably roll in some B-roll where we get some looks through the different reticles, and yeah, hopefully we'll answer some questions. Obviously, if you have any other questions as you're watching the video, if we don't cover those, feel free to post those down in the comments. You know, number one, I started this channel to help you guys out, and number two, you guys interacting with the videos helps the standings in the algorithm. So, you know, all of those things that creators ask you to do, there's a reason that we're begging for that. But we're going to start out, since the focus of the video is kind of this Swampfox. Cody, why don't you talk a little bit about your optic there?
Well, to be completely honest, a veteran friend of mine, I ran into him at a store in my local hometown, and we got to talking about guns, as we usually do, you know, and we got to talking about optics, and he suggested that I look into this company, Swampfox. And to begin with, I'm just like, yeah, well, you know, I kind of like the stuff that is more battle proven, you know, the EOTechs, the Spectres, the ACOGs. I prefer those because I know that they have a good long track record of being able to take the abuse and be able to run in adverse conditions.
Absolutely.
So he tells me, he's just like, you know, they have a great review, they got good customer service, and they have a 50,000 round guarantee with them. So I get onto their site, and lo and behold, I was extremely surprised. Everything that he was saying is true, and they actually come in at a lower price point. Now, for all you veterans that are out there, law enforcement, and anybody that is still currently serving our country, you can pick one of these up. If I recall correctly, it's a 30% discount on all of your orders from Swampfox. And like I said before, they have a great guarantee with all their stuff too. Now, to begin with, my first impressions when I pulled it out of the box was I was actually stunned because, you know, I've played with Vortexes before. I've played with, you know, some of the more cheaper models of, you know, glass. And this thing just took my breath away on how clear the glass was. And, you know, it has very audible clicks with the adjustment. Now, the Tomahawk, it was kind of the lower end model because, I mean, you know, COVID panic. We're trying to save a little bit of money here. So I went with the Tomahawk instead of the Arrowhead. I wanted to get the Arrowhead. However, that's going to be a purchase for a later date and time. And everything that you see here on it came with the flip lens covers. It came with the throw lever, and it is adjustable all the way around. It's an illuminated reticle. It's etched reticle as well. The mount that I had to pay a little extra for. Now, mind you, I got the discount with it. So the mount and everything came in at like $329. Now, I know that Vortex is a very good name, but Vortex doesn't really touch that in my personal opinion. Right. And to be completely honest, I was just completely blown away by it. It is a very rugged, it feels rugged, it feels well built. I can't sing its praises enough up to this point. Now, I'm going to be abusing the shit out of this over the next, can I curse? Or?
We'll leave it in.
Well, I'm going to be abusing the shit out of this anyhow. And I want to find out exactly how much this optic will take. But Swampfox guaranteed me, because I reach out to them and I asked them just like, hey, what's going on with you guys, and what type of guarantees are you guys going to have? What's the quality of your stuff? And they said, well, you'll have to buy one, but if anything happens to it within 50,000 rounds. And no, they don't have any like crazy tracking thing in there to find out if you've actually shot 50,000 rounds or not. But everything that they do have on there, it is just like, if it's not something that you did to it, like intentionally, then they will cover it. They will fix it. They'll make it right. But everything that I've seen about it thus far, it is an absolute just cherry.
Yeah, that all sounds fantastic. One thing, so you said you were into that for about $330. So for those of us who don't have a service record that we can get the discount, I would estimate, I'm not breaking out the calculator, but probably what, $375 to $400?
It was about $400 shipped to the door. Okay. That was before the discount was applied.
And so to put that in perspective, I picked my Strike Eagle up used on a Weaver mount that would have come from Walmart, and it took me forever to find out where this mount came from. You can hold these up and there's no question about the quality of the mount. That's obviously a lighter mount.
Aircraft grade aluminum.
Right, aircraft aluminum. It's a true two connection point cantilever mount, and I paid $235 used for this. And I'll roll in on screen what, keeping in mind that we're recording this in early July of 2020, what the current price on a Strike Eagle 1-6 is. And if you want for comparison's sake, so that we're comparing brand new to brand new, you've heard Cody saying what the current price on that is, and I will include a quality cantilever mount. I don't know if Vortex makes one, but I know Primary Arms and Midwest both have one. They run about $100.
Now that $329 that I spent out of pocket was for the scope and the mount. Right. So it was not just for the scope itself. The scope came in about $300 by itself. Right. But I mean, there's several other offerings. If you don't want to buy a mount through them, he's got a Midwest Industries on his, and I really like that. I'm probably going to end up trading out the Swampfox. Sorry guys, I really like it, but I want something that QDs.
Well, and that's one thing I was going to say is I have looked at Swampfox's website. Number one, guys, they have etched prism 1-power reticles. They've got red dots. If you're looking for a reticle at least swing by and give them a look.
The point is that there is a lot more offerings out there, and a lot of people, we as consumers, we don't want to be spending our money on something that is going to be trash at the end of the day, because then we have buyer's remorse. And as soon guns hold their value really well, but the optics themselves don't.
Right.
So once you buy an optic, it's either you put it up in the safe and you never touch it again, or you put it on a gun and run it until it breaks and then throw it away. But it's trying to get the best value and the best bang for your buck.
Right.
Whenever you're looking at a good optic that you can go hunting or protect your life or liberty with. So, sorry, I just kind of trailed off on that one. So,
No. That's a really good point. Speaking of the reticle, I've had it on screen now. I do like the broken circle and dot. It's reminiscent of an EOTech reticle. I've talked in other videos that is one of my favorite reticles.
And they do have 3 different optic or
Reticle styles?
Reticle styles, yes. Thank you. So they do have 3 different reticle styles. They have the spear, they have the gorilla bullet drop compensator, which that's what this is, and they have another one I can't recall off the top of my head. But all 3 of those are every single one of them is etch reticle. So, and it's illuminated too. So that's a plus on my end.
Absolutely.
But the bullet drop compensator ones, whenever they get them back in stock, that's definitely something you should probably look into. But I went on the more expensive end with the 1x8. You could get one shipped to your door, mount and scope for about $250 if you go with a 1-4. But the 1-6 was the one I wanted, but I decided,
right,
screw it, let's just go with the 1x8, because that gives me a little bit more reach and a little bit better seeing power as to what I'm working with. So
absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, that's quite all right. And we're not ignoring Perrin. We're getting ready to talk about his optic. Just a couple quick points of comparison. If you're playing the home game, number one, as Cody was talking about those, you saw them come up on screen somewhere, maybe even targeting me, just so you guys have an idea of what he was talking about. A couple of quick comparisons to the Strike Eagle. It's kind of Strike Eagle and Primary Arms 1-6 offerings are usually the entry level that people are going to look at, have traditionally in the last few years been the entry level of what people will even start calling quality. And yeah, we understand that what one person calls quality is not the same. But one last thing I want to point out is that the Swampfox came with the throw lever, and that is an additional extra on the Strike Eagles. And Vortex is, I think it's $40 or $50. I don't remember exactly. I will say it was enough that I picked up an aluminum unit from a third party on Amazon. I will say too, if your low power variable optic didn't come with a throw lever, don't waste your time or money on a 3D printed option. These aren't the hardest things to adjust, but they are just deliberate enough that you will eventually break a polymer 3D printed throw lever. So just save the time, save your frustration, and go ahead and buy, even if it's an unbranded, just go ahead and buy a metal throw lever. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the Swampfox. I've talked about the Strike Eagle in videos past, and we'll kind of circle back around to that. But next we want to talk about Perrin's Atibal 1-8. And so what made you pick this one up?
So this is the Atibal XP8. It is a 1-8 power, second focal plane scope. And if you're familiar with the Primary Arms 1-8, they are virtually the same, with one difference that I know right off the gate is that the reticle is different. Primary Arms tend to use the ACSS reticle on pretty much everything now.
Right.
This has a dot and a diamond reticle. So you get this zeroed. The dot is calibrated for the first 100 yards. The inside bottom corner of the diamond is for 200 yards, and the outside of the diamond, the bottom corner, is 300 yards.
Okay.
And then once you get past there, it's calibrated for, it's got hash marks for 400 all the way down to 1,000.
Which, depending on the rifle you're putting it on, is optimistic.
Right.
But
hey, and this is just a standard 5.56. Thanks. Couple things you'll notice that it's very similar to the Strike Eagle in that the turrets are capped, unlike the Swampfox.
Which that was something that I actually liked about both of yours over this one, is because it is a capped. But on the other hand, it's like you were just making the comment about. It depends on what gun you are putting it on, as to what you might be using it for.
Right.
I said earlier, if you had that on, say, like a 224 Valkyrie or a 6.8, those caps would be perfect for it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But 5.56 or 223, something in that nature.
Yeah, you're not going to be fiddling around with the knobs at all.
Right.
A couple other things. You mentioned earlier this is a Midwest Industries quick detach mount, which is definitely a great mount, but but with this particular scope, it gets kind of picky in that depending on the mount you use. I've had this attached on a Warren scope and it was flawless, but for some reason with the Midwest Industries mount, you kind of got to search for it, or else you're going to get the black shadow around it.
Right.
This one also comes with a throw lever, but this one, those you have to are more or less permanently screwed on.
Right.
This one just screws right on and off. And Atibal does make different sizes and different styles, and even different colors.
And that's a fantastic feature, because that little nub right there that you see without that is all that something like the Strike Eagle has out of the box.
And that was something else that I liked about the Atibal, is it is a very smooth throw, and the lever itself, it feels beefy. Like it feels like you're grabbing a hold of it and you're able to manipulate the optic to the way you want it. And I got to give props to them about that. The Swampfox is a little bit on the stiffer side. However, I got to give props to Atibal on that one. It is a very, very easy to manipulate, and you're not having to literally reach over and crank it over, because you don't want to do that. If you're using it for any type of duty use or even home defense use, you don't want something that's going to be just you're having to wrench over on it with a torque wrench to get it to work. I mean, I'm not complaining too much. It has loosened up a little bit. I've been sitting here playing with it for the past 2 days, and it has loosened up a little bit, but I think maybe if it had a little bit longer on mine, then it would be a little bit easier to manipulate. Like yours has that much longer throw lever on it.
Right. Well, again, you got yours, 2-3 days ago now?
I think okay, so I ordered it on a Saturday, and it came in on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Or no, it was on a Wednesday, excuse me. So 3-day shipping, and
that's pretty phenomenal in the middle of scarcity.
Middle of a pandemic.
Right. Everything is out of stock right now.
And that was another thing. Like the 1 to 6s on their page was completely sold out. That's part of the reason I went with the 1x8. I was originally wanting to go with a 1x4, and then I just kind of thought about it, and I'm like, if I'm going to go with a 1x4, then what's the point of even taking the EOTech off this rifle?
Right.
So, at that point, it was just, like, the only thing that I would suggest changing about this whole thing, which I know I could have got the locking caps with the Arrowhead, and I know I could have gotten a 1 to 8 at the bare minimum, but I went with the Tomahawk because, like we said a little bit ago, the COVID and the beer flu is starting to make everybody a little bit more poor. So
yeah.
Right. But what I was gonna say is, you've had your optic now for less than a week.
Yeah.
I've actually had this for going on 3 years. I put this on the first AR-15 that I actually ever bought when I was fresh out of high school. I was like 18 going on 19 when I bought it.
You're young, dude. I'm old. I'm grandpa in this group anyway, but
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
whenever high school was 3 years ago, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like such a long time.
Yes. So 2.5 going on 3 years. This was on a previous AR-15, which that got an upgraded scope. But you know, I will argue that this is probably the best $300 I have spent. And I've got EOTech, I've got a HoloSun, and I even have a Vortex optic on the same AR-15 that was on this. But this thing, I have absolutely no complaints about it. It did come with flip caps, but those eventually broke.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common, that flip caps are kind of they're a disposable product. Like, they're gonna get hit, they're gonna break. There's only so much a company can do with flip caps.
Yeah,
Right.
like, for real, I'm gonna kind of give you guys a little bit of truth here. So to begin with, I had taken these off and I threw them on my workbench. I wasn't even planning on bringing them out, and then I'm just like, well, I have been boasting about how clear this glass is for like the past 3 days, so I figured, I'm gonna put these back on just because I don't want to be made a liar by my
Just by some dust.
yeah, by some dust or some stupid shit. So in all honesty, like, I know what I bought and I know what I paid for, and I know that it's not a Vortex and I know it's not an Atibal, but my only gripes about it didn't come with a honeycomb. That was one of the biggest gripes, is they don't even make a honeycomb for this. So, and that was something that I was wanting, because this is, you know, that rifle that I'm going to be going to. It's the number one, like, line up in the safe. There it is. So
Right.
I would want something that is going to have a sunshade on it, or maybe not a sunshade, but definitely a honeycomb, you know.
Yeah.
But they don't make that. I will be sending a message to Swampfox with a couple of customer suggestions. I'm pretty sure that they are going to love me over the next few years. But anywho, so.
Well, and I'll keep you guys updated, because how a company responds to their customer base is super important. Yeah, there are companies out there that have bought back a lot of grace, even when there's been some problems, because of how they respond.
And I wasn't even a customer whenever I reached out to them. I was just trying to get a feel for what the company was about. And they have a great namesake, and that's part of the reason as to why they are wanting to put out a high quality optic. If you don't know who the Swampfox was, I would suggest you brush up on a little bit of American history on who the Swampfox was, and that's their namesake. And I think they're very proud of that namesake too, because they want to put out a good optic. But even before I was a customer, they reached out to me. I sent them a message, and they were just boom, back with me almost immediately. And that was crazy, because I've gotten a hold of Vortex before, and it took them a week to get back to me. And now I know I'm shooting a message on Facebook. I'm not sending them an email or giving them a call. But the only company that I've dealt with in the gun community that has had that good of a response back is Glock. And that says something. If you've ever had to deal with Glock's customer service, you damn well know that that's really, really good customer service.
Right.
So
yeah, I've heard nothing but praise for Glock customer service. And then there's a couple other major firearms manufacturers.
That will not be named.
Yeah, I don't need a libel suit against my fledgling little channel, so we won't mention those names. But there are a couple of firearms.
You know who you are.
Businesses.
You know who you are.
You've gotten the reputation that you hate your customers, and that's a problem. They're the people who buy your crap. But no, that's fantastic. That kind of a responsiveness. I've got to say, even when I reach out to a company and I say, hey, can I do this? And obviously my ideal answer is, yeah, we'll get you set up with that. Even if the answer is no, if they get back to me quickly, that's a positive mark.
Right, and to be completely honest, whenever I placed the order, I was expecting quality to be like a Sightmark or something along that line. I wasn't exploring even a monstrum scope, which I actually have one of those at home, and I've beaten the ever-living piss out of it, and it still holds together really well. Another very decent scope if you're wanting to not spend a lot of money. However, it is like attaching a potato to your gun. it is the short bus of the scope world.
It's a high point of scopes.
It is, but I mean, it's just like, I was about ready to say something really terrible, but I mean, yeah, it has absolutely taken a beating. The AR that I have it on, it's fell over and it's landed right on the scope several different times. The throw, it's a 1.6 by 24, similar to what you've got on yours, but the price point difference is like, that's filet mignon, and this is like Happy Meal cheeseburger,
I wouldn't even go that far.
Like, that's the comparison point. I only spent $160, and that was with a mount.
Wow.
And it is just like that. Whenever I sent you that picture of popping dandelions off at 100 yards, like, that was on this range with that scope on that rifle.
Gotcha.
And that was after I've already beaten it to death, and quite honestly, I've had that scope longer than you've had that one. So, and it's held up really well. But on the line of budget optics, you should want to get a good optic to go on your rifle, because a good optic is going to complement the rifle. It's not going to, or it's going to complement the gun. If it doesn't complement the gun, then you need to get rid of it. You should want a good optic for whatever firearm that you're putting it on, whether it's just going out to the range and putting a couple rounds down range, or going and actually using it to defend your life with. You want something that's going to be reliable.
Take your stuff out.
In the famous words of a lieutenant that I had in the Army, train how you fight.
Absolutely.
Train how you fight. If you that's also words from Clint Smith himself, is train how you fight. If you're going to be fighting from the ground, fight from the ground. Train from the ground.
Right.
If you're going to be in a situation where you're not going to have a light to turn on, learn how to operate the flashlight and the dart. Figure it out. Do not let the stigma of having to go out and train, and that's the next thing, is training, which that's a whole nother video.
Oh yeah, we could do hours of why, and I've recommended a lot of good trainers to you guys in the past,
but beat the death out of your equipment. If it doesn't hold up to a bad range day, it ain't gonna hold up whenever you need it to, whenever you're actually fighting for your life.
Right.
So don't.
So absolutely be willing to take a chance. If you can find something used, I can't speak to Atibal or Swampfox, but I can tell you Primary Arms and Vortex, they still have a lifetime warranty whether you're the first buyer or not.
This one has, like I said,
the 50,000
rounds, which, once again, how many rounds do you think you're going to shoot in a lifetime? I mean, unless you've had military service or law enforcement under your belt, how many rounds do you think you're going to be shooting in a lifetime? If they guarantee that optic to 50,000 rounds, it's probably going to go past 50,000 rounds.
Right, and to put that in perspective, running a YouTube channel, between all of my calibers, I might have put 3,000 rounds or 4,000 rounds down pipe in all of 2019. So we're talking
2018. I put 24,000 rounds through a handgun.
Okay, but for the normal person, yeah, you might as well call 50,000 rounds a lifetime. Do you know if that is a transferable warranty?
I don't know. Swampfox does have a video on YouTube, and it goes over their warranty, and it has so much satire in it that it made me laugh while I was watching it.
Look for that linked in the pinned comment.
It was absolutely hilarious. Like, it's vet humor. It really is. Like, like the lady that was narrating it even was saying something along the lines of, if you scratch your optic, don't be that guy and send it back to the factory saying that you want a new scope because you scratched it. Just tell everybody how you got the scratch on it, and then have a good story behind it.
That's new AK owners. The scratch is supposed to be there. The safety scratches. Anyway, okay. Atibal, do you know what their warranty looks like?
Off the top of my head, no. If I remember correctly, they have a 30,000 round warranty. Do not quote me on that, however. I do believe...
Quoted. It's on camera.
Yeah.
Very much so. I do remember 704 Tactical doing a video on this optic, actually. And I believe he goes into much better detail on their warranty.
Awesome. Guys, in seriousness though, be checking in the description and I will get a little bit more detail on warranty on these two items, because again, they're not anything I've looked into. But if a company has a transferable warranty, don't hesitate to even pick up a used option if you're wanting to try something out. So I think we've covered all the bases. I think we
beat this horse to death.
I think, yeah, the horse is dead. We'll see how much I've got to edit on this. I don't know. Anyway, no, it's been a good time. Appreciate you guys joining me. I would tell you guys to check out their channels or their social media presence, but these are just some of my friends.
My privacy.
And yeah, they're not dumb like me and set up a YouTube channel.
Oh, you're not.
You'll never find me on social media, I can guarantee you.
So anyway, I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you found some parts of it helpful. If you would like to help support the channel, a couple ways you can do that. First off, you can head over to the merchandise store, pick yourself up some t-shirts or coffee cups. Channel gets a little bit of a commission off of each of those purchases through the Teespring store. Some of you guys have done that. Some of you guys have even contributed artwork. I really appreciate you guys. If you want to contribute to the channel directly, you can do that over at Patreon or Subscribestar. Those links are on screen or in the description, and you know, it's kind of just a little tip, a little way to help the channel out. I do try to get my supporters early access to the videos. They get input on the live streams, which will be coming back once I get my internet issues figured out. But I appreciate anybody who wants to support the channel. If you're not in a position to do that, if you just give the video a thumbs up, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell. All of that helps channel metrics. Make sure you're sharing the videos, and that will help the channel grow. That will help the channel out even if you're not in a position to do so directly. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.